The story is about our guy who enrolls in a prestigious private high school called Shubi, a school famous for admitting only the most exceptional students. However, Takahashi's reason for enrolling isn't academic. He applied solely because she served as the model for the school featured in his favorite manga, Love Mav. In that manga, his beloved waifu, Aoi, attends the same school, making it feel like a dream come true for him. On his first day, overwhelmed with excitement, Takahashi arrives 2 hours early for the entrance ceremony just to explore the campus. Every corner of the school holds special significance for him, especially the document room, a place central to many key moments in the manga involving Aoi. Eager to experience the setting in real life, he heads to the document room, assuming it will be empty. To his surprise, he finds a girl already inside. The shock deepens when he realizes she looks exactly like Aoi-tan. The same face, the same aura, as if the character had stepped out of the manga. Caught off guard, he accidentally calls her by the waifu's name. The girl, clearly confused, looks at him strangely, prompting him to awkwardly change the subject and ask why she's there. She calmly explains that since there was still time before the ceremony, she asked the staff to let her into the document room so she could learn more about the school. What stuns Takahashi even more is the fact that she, too, is a first-year student, just like him. She curiously asks who Aoi is since he accidentally called her by that name. With no way to avoid it, he admits the truth. Aoi is a character from his favorite manga, Love Mav. He begins explaining the manga's plot and why it means so much to him, but halfway through, he realizes he's oversharing and awkwardly stops. To his surprise, the girl insists he keep going, genuinely interested. However, Takahashi suddenly notices her expression has changed. She's looking at him in a way he interprets as disgust. It's a look he's painfully familiar with from past experiences, and it hits hard. In a panic, he runs out of the room, deeply regretting that he exposed his inner otaku. His original goal was to hide that side of himself at all costs, yet he had already slipped up. Hoping to never see the girl again, he takes comfort in the size of the school, thinking there's little chance of running into her again. Later in class, he sees her sitting beside him, and he spots her looking directly at him with a serious gaze. The fear lingers in his mind. What if she tells everyone? That would ruin everything. She tells him, "I finally found you," and then walks away, leaving him frozen in worry. He immediately assumes she's planning to blackmail him. But then, something unexpected happens. Another classmate blushes furiously. It turns out the girl who spoke to him, Kurokawa, is known for being extremely quiet. In fact, the entire class is stunned. It's the first time they've heard her speak, and her voice is beautiful. Everyone is shocked. Why would she, of all people, talk to Takahashi? His classmates quickly fill him in. Kurokawa is the granddaughter of the billionaire owner of the Kurosawa Corporation. She's incredibly wealthy and gifted in countless areas, which is why many students had enrolled in Shu just to attend the same school as her. Because of this, no one can understand why someone so admired and elite would choose to speak to someone like Takahashi. Everyone in the class is stunned that someone as elite as Kurokawa would speak to someone as ordinary as Takahashi. Feeling the weight of their stares, Takahashi awkwardly apologizes to his classmates, but the atmosphere around him grows tense and heavy. Envy spreads quickly. After all, he's seated right next to Kurokawa, the girl everyone admires. Overwhelmed by the silent hostility, Takahashi decides to flee the classroom, unable to handle the pressure. But just as he's making his escape, Kurokawa suddenly grabs the sleeve of his sweater and quietly pulls him toward the document room. Her expression is serious, and with a calm tone, she greets him with a simple good morning. Takahashi nervously returns the greeting, but his anxiety intensifies. He feels like something bad is about to happen. She slowly steps closer, and he watches her with wide, fearful eyes. But then, completely unexpectedly, Kurokawa gently asks him to show her his favorite manga, Love Mav. Takahashi is taken aback, unsure how to react. It turns out that when she saw him talking so passionately about the series earlier, she couldn't help but grow curious. Now she's genuinely asking him to share it with her. Still trying to process everything, Takahashi explains that he doesn't have the manga with him at the moment. To his dismay, Kurokawa seems disappointed and starts to suspect that he might have made the whole thing up. Quickly, Takahashi reassures her that's not true. She's misunderstanding him. In that moment, he begins to realize that Kurokawa might have some deeply rooted, judgmental ideas about manga lovers, and he's now caught in the middle of that. Takahashi explains that he doesn't have the manga with him because school rules don't allow students to bring such materials. Understanding the situation, Kurokawa apologizes, and Takahashi takes the chance to ask if she even likes manga. To his surprise, she admits she's never read one before. She begins to open up about how people see her. To everyone else, she's the perfect girl, the granddaughter of a powerful businessman, Hirokawa Zaibatsu, top of her class, skilled in everything she does. But because of that, she carries the pressure of never being allowed to fail or disappoint anyone. Deep down, though, she just wants to do the things she truly enjoys. When she saw how passionately Takahashi talked about his favorite manga, she found it inspiring and wanted to experience that same excitement. Thinking she might be boring him, she thanks him for listening and apologizes for accusing him earlier. She also asks him to keep their conversation private. As Takahashi turns to leave, he stops himself, realizing Kurokawa sincerely wants to explore something for herself for once. He turns back and asks if she wants to read it secretly. He tells her that he reads manga on an app on his phone and offers to let her use it whenever they're at school. Hirokawa is thrilled by the offer, though she's unfamiliar with what a manga app even is. Takahashi patiently shows her the basics: how to open the app, search, and start reading. As she looks through it, her eyes light up. She's clearly amazed, her excitement bubbling to the surface. It's a rare moment for her, letting her guard down and showing her true self, someone who's never had the freedom to get excited over something as simple and joyful as a manga on a screen. Takahashi assures Kurokawa that she's not weird at all. In fact, he remembers being just as thrilled when he got his first physical manga. It actually makes him happy to have someone like her to share his otaku hobbies with. He promises her that everything will stay between them. After that, he leaves, not wanting to make her uncomfortable by lingering. As he walks through the school's hallway, he suddenly realizes he's standing in the exact spot where, in the manga, the character always stops the protagonist to confess her feelings. Just as in the story, Kurokawa stops him there and quietly confesses that she's always felt alone. She thanks him for talking to her about his passions. It made her feel genuinely happy and grateful to have chosen this school. She then asks him if they can stay close because she truly wants to get along. Takahashi hesitates, his old insecurities surfacing, but the sincerity of the moment pushes him to accept her friendship. The next day, during class, Kurokawa calls out to Takahashi in front of everyone, asking him to step outside with her. The class is stunned, assuming she's about to scold him for treating her too casually or sitting next to her, but instead she takes him to the garden. There she asks if their school really was the inspiration for the one in the manga. Takahashi excitedly confirms it, happy to finally have someone to talk to about anime and manga. Kurokawa marvels at how detailed the manga publishers are, mentioning how the app used to charge for every chapter, but now only requires watching a few ads to continue reading. A big change thanks to modern technology. Suddenly, Kurokawa excitedly asks when a character named Aoi shows up in the manga. Takahashi realizes she doesn't know that Aoi-tan is just a nickname he gave the heroine, Oya Akasaka. He even suspects she might think Aoi is a pet in the story. Gently, he brings up how much she resembles the protagonist of the manga, but Kurokawa firmly denies it. She insists that Akasaka is way prettier than she could ever be, and says she's not cute at all. She warns him not to joke like that again, otherwise she'll get really mad. Takahashi, flustered, quickly changes the subject. He and Kurokawa are overjoyed to have finally found someone who shares their interests. Talking about manga becomes a highlight of their day. While they're walking together, Takahashi notices they're near the exact spot where, in Volume 5 of his favorite manga, the heroine Akasaka comes across a cherry plum tree. He wants to bring it up, but he stops himself to avoid spoiling the story for Kurokawa. Just as he's holding back, Kurokawa unknowingly recreates the scene by picking a plum from the tree, exactly like Akasaka does. Takahashi, amazed by how perfectly it mirrors the manga, can't help but get excited, so much that he ends up with a nosebleed. He apologizes for getting carried away and eagerly asks her to tell him her thoughts once she finishes Chapter 2. A week later, she finally earns enough points to unlock the next chapter in the manga app. She's incredibly excited to continue reading and talk about it with Takahashi. But the moment she sees a particular scene, she lets out a loud scream. Her family rushes in to check on her, but she nervously brushes it off, saying she was just sleep-talking. Though they're skeptical, they leave her alone. Blushing furiously, she still can't believe what she just saw. The next day at school, she immediately seeks out Takahashi, and asks if the manga contains more lewd scenes like the one she saw. Takahashi, confused and surprised, says he didn't think there were any scenes like that at all. She then shows him a panel where Akasaka is changing clothes, revealing a bit of her figure. To Takahashi, it seems like a normal scene, but it's clear to him that she is very sensitive to such content. She insists that the scene was unnecessary and too bold, even saying she felt a bit betrayed by it. Takahashi had previously told Kurokawa that the Love Map manga was practically pure, with each page focused on emotional development rather than anything provocative. He's just trying to give context when he realizes Kurokawa is reacting strongly to what he thought was a harmless scene. Surprised by her response, he begins thinking of a plan to convince her that the manga isn't inappropriate, hoping she won't stop reading it. But just as he's about to explain, Kurokawa suddenly asks Takahashi what he would think if she did what the protagonist did in that scene. This catches Takahashi completely off guard, and as he starts to imagine it, she quickly tells him not to, clearly flustered and still in denial that such scenes even exist in the manga. She even lets out a strange noise out of frustration, something Takahashi notices for the first time. Realizing that if he doesn't act fast, she might drop the manga entirely, Takahashi tries hard to calm her down. Meanwhile, Kurokawa shares her detailed thoughts on the matter. She's genuinely shocked that a manga enjoyed by many guys could contain scenes she considers in poor taste. Takahashi struggles to come up with the right words to reassure her, but she keeps shutting him down, impossible to persuade. In the end, she even calls him bold for defending the scene, saying that since people change clothes every day, showing something like that doesn't automatically make a character indecent or fanservice-y. This confusion gives Takahashi an opening. He quickly explains that the scene wasn't meant to be provocative at all. It was just a simple glimpse into the main character's everyday life, meant to add depth and realism to her story. For some strange reason, this actually convinces Kurokawa. She realizes she may have judged the scene too harshly and agrees to continue reading the story without any more worries. Suddenly, the bell rings and Takahashi tells her to hurry to class. In a hurry, Kurokawa's phone slips from her hand, and just when things couldn't get worse, a teacher finds it. With a serious tone, the teacher asks Kurokawa if it's her phone, and Takahashi quickly defends her, taking the blame. He tells the teacher that Kurokawa was scolding him for looking at his phone while walking. The teacher doesn't take the situation seriously and simply tells them to be more careful in the future and not show that kind of scene to other girls since it's too naughty. This causes Kurokawa to revisit her original conflict, so she drags Takahashi to the classroom to talk. She quickly apologizes for lying about the scene earlier, asking him not to misunderstand the manga. He explains that it's more focused on the tenderness of the story and asks for another chance, telling her to believe him as he won't betray her expectations. Takahashi is relieved as she agrees to expect that from him. He hands her the phone back so she can continue reading the manga. Putting everything aside, Kurokawa apologizes, feeling guilty for causing the teacher's reprimand. Takahashi reassures her, telling her not to worry about it and thanking her for being his friend. He's glad to have someone to talk to about his favorite manga. Afterward, he leaves for the classroom, and Kurokawa stays behind, reflecting on what he had said, blushing from the conversation. It's that time of year when students must choose which club to join, and Takahashi is unsure whether he should join a club, as he wants to keep meeting with Kurokawa after school to discuss their favorite manga. He wonders if she plans to join a club and decides not to show his concerns, not wanting to look pathetic in front of her. When the time comes for them to meet, Takahashi plans to send Kurokawa off with a big smile, thinking they won't see each other as often since she will join a club. However, she asks him what he thinks about joining the manga research club, leaving him confused. He doesn't understand why she'd want everyone to know about her love for manga, especially if it's supposed to be her secret. He assumes she might want to make new otaku friends, and he's ready to say goodbye with a smile, but she suddenly shyly admits that she can't believe he thinks she's interested in such a club. She asks him not to take it personally. As Takahashi tries to explain, his words only confuse her more because he's not being clear. Although he wants to lie to her, Takahashi chooses to be honest, knowing that Kurokawa has made it clear from the start that she values transparency. So he directly tells her that he doesn't want her to join any club. He confesses that, even though they've only spent a few days together, he's really enjoyed their time and would be sad if they couldn't spend more time together. He apologizes for being selfish, but feels he must be honest with her. Kurokawa quickly turns away, telling him not to worry because she never planned to join any club. She asks if he plans to join one, and when he says no, it relieves her. She too wants to keep spending time with him and doesn't want him to see her face right now because she feels embarrassed. Both of them are happy, knowing they will continue seeing each other regularly. They say goodbye and agree to meet the next day, though Takahashi is curious about Kurokawa's expression, which he hasn't seen yet. At the end of the classes, the teacher thanks her students for paying attention, and everyone begins gathering their things to go home. Just as Kurokawa is about to stand up to tell Takahashi all about what she thought of the latest chapter of the manga, one of her classmates calls her over to ask if she can help explain the math lesson as he didn't understand anything. Kurokawa offers to help and gives him a quick summary of what happened and how to solve the different problems. When she thinks she's finally done, other classmates ask for help with the English lessons. It turns out that all of her classmates are trying to avoid Kurokawa spending time with Takahashi, as they think she's not worthy of being with him. Takahashi understands this and decides to leave. Kurokawa stays behind to help each of her classmates, and at the end, they all thank her for the help. She says goodbye to everyone, but realizes it's already late and rushes to the document room, where she usually meets Takahashi. When she arrives, the room is empty, and she feels sad that she couldn't meet with him. However, Takahashi arrives from the back, congratulating her on the good work she did. Surprised, Kurokawa asks where he's been. Takahashi tries to lie to her so she won't worry, but she quickly realizes that he had been waiting for her all this time. Unfortunately, the school is about to close, and everyone is told to leave. Takahashi says goodbye to Kurokawa, telling her they'll meet again the next day as he has to rush to catch his last bus. As she heads home, Kurokawa asks her chauffeur to drive more gently, which worries him. He apologizes for his poor driving. She tells him that's not the issue and explains that she feels like she's made a huge mistake, wasting time for no reason. She's upset because she couldn't talk to Takahashi, and it makes her feel very sad. The chauffeur suggests that she send him a message, which confuses Kurokawa since her friends had told her that students no longer use email. Takahashi has become very special to her, and she wants their bond to grow stronger so that he doesn't see her as just a classmate. The chauffeur suggests she use a popular messaging app among young people to get in touch with Takahashi and check how he's doing. The next day, without wasting any time, Kurokawa goes to the document room to wait for Takahashi. She asks him if he knows any apps where they can easily communicate. He's confused by the question, not understanding what she means, so he directly asks her. She responds by asking if he has something like cello, but doesn't finish the sentence for some reason, leaving Takahashi intrigued about what she meant. She is surprised that the app works on all smartphones. They both discover something they didn't know before. Kuro goes back home, leaving Takahashi alone in the classroom, but it feels like their conversation ended too soon. Inside the car, Kurokawa's butler asks Kuro if she has accomplished her goal. As the question sinks in, she realizes that she has completely forgotten to ask Takahashi for his contact information. It's rare for her to forget something like that, and she's so happy that she forgot about her goal, making her heart skip a beat. The next day, she wants to talk to Takahashi, but she's swarmed by everyone in the classroom again. Every time they crowd around her, he distances himself. Kurokawa starts wondering if Takahashi is being careful around her because he doesn't want her to mess up or because she once told him she's been holding back and doing her best. She heads to their usual spot, trying to grab his attention, but her voice won't come out. Takahashi notices and checks if she's okay, sensing she might want to talk to him about something. Nervously, she tries to ask if they can chat using the messaging app. He's completely shocked, not expecting her to want to talk with him, and checks to make sure she really means him. She shyly confirms, and he quickly tells her he's totally free and down for it. She then says she wants to talk more with him and asks if he doesn't hate the idea, grabbing his shoulders for emphasis. He practically shouts that he'd love to, and she's relieved, saying she'll send the first message. When he sees her long message on his phone, he takes his time reading it, smiling when he realizes she's already read Chapter 3 of Love Mave, and notices how earnest Aoi-chan is. He invites her to sit down, and she does, thinking happily that she finally got it out. He texts to ask when she'll read Chapter 4, and she says in 4 days. He tells her it's definitely worth the wait, which makes her blush as she realizes they'll probably be messaging each other all day. Their eyes meet, and she thinks that it's okay, while Takahashi watches her, happy that she seems to be enjoying herself. After school, Kurokawa suddenly screams about a spider on her chair, totally freaking out. Takahashi watches the scene unfold and immediately thinks it's the perfect real-life recreation of that moment in Chapter 6 of Love Maeve, where Aoi-tan is terrified of a spider. He's absolutely thrilled, thinking his eyes and ears are in heaven. Kurokawa notices the tears in his eyes and asks what's going on, and he admits he just got a bit overwhelmed with emotion. She wonders how he could get emotional over just a spider, but in his head he's completely absorbed by how everything she says hits him so hard emotionally. Then she reminds him that midterm exams are coming up and suggests they take it easy today. That's when, for the first time, something other than pure happiness crosses Takahashi's mind. Snapping out of it, he realizes it's already exam season. He starts thinking about how their school, Shubi High, is one of the top schools in the prefecture with a strong track record of university admissions thanks to its intense after-school support. After school, it's mandatory for students who score below 80 on midterms or finals to attend 3-hour remedial classes, so parents don't need to worry. Takahashi gets really anxious and pleads with Kurokawa, saying if he doesn't get at least 80, he'll be stuck in after-school study sessions for the next 3 years, and that would mean no more hanging out like they usually do. Kurokawa reassures him that all he needs is some review to hit 80. Still, Takahashi admits that he only got into the school by luck and doesn't feel very confident. He really wants to keep talking to her, but asks if it's okay to head straight home during exam week to focus on studying. She immediately supports him and tells him he absolutely can. Determined, he promises to score above 80. As he walks home, he starts second-guessing himself, feeling unsure if he can actually get that score. Later, while studying in his room, he spirals into self-doubt, wondering if Kurokawa already read the latest Love Maeve chapter. Her words about 80 being easy echo in his mind, and he assumes she probably gets high scores effortlessly. Even after working hard until 5, nothing seems to stick, and he's embarrassed by the dark circles under his eyes. He figures everyone else is way more capable, and then he notices Kurokawa sitting next to him the next day, also looking like she didn't sleep at all. Did she stay up all night studying too? She approaches him and asks for a bit of his time after school. He agrees right away, grateful that she still wants to spend time together even during exams. Kurokawa wonders if there's any way she can help and gives him a notebook filled with her own study notes. She says she modeled them after the summary notes Aoi-san made in Love Maeve, Chapter 5, but then flusters and tries to say it was just a coincidence. Takahashi is shocked she even read the chapter after midnight and made notes right after. She happily admits she only slept 30 minutes, which freaks him out. He worries she might collapse from exhaustion. He tells her how happy and touched he is, but begs her to get proper rest. She shyly nods, a little surprised that someone is genuinely worried about her while she's studying. Takahashi reflects on how studying a little extra probably feels totally normal for someone like Kurokawa, but then he realizes that someone who scores high easily wouldn't say 30 minutes of sleep is enough. That thought shifts something in him, and he suddenly feels fired up to work hard too. He tells her that he'll do his best on the test as well. Kurokawa smiles and nods before walking off, and for some reason she skips all the way home, like she's finally let her true self shine through. Later, while looking through the notebook Kurokawa gave him, Takahashi is amazed by how she managed to summarize entire pages of key points into super clear, one-line notes. It's all so easy to understand, and the fact that she pulled this off in just one night really hits him, especially knowing she only got 30 minutes of sleep. He realizes she must really care about their after-school time together. It wasn't just for him, it mattered to her too. Meanwhile, his mom tells his little sister Mao not to disturb him since he's studying hard. But Mao spots him acting weird and complains that he's making strange noises. He quickly defends himself and, deep down, reminds himself not to waste even a second of his break time. He thinks about how popular Kurokawa is. Everyone wants her attention when she has free time. But then he remembers her saying she's always alone, which doesn't seem to match what he sees. Still, he thinks maybe she's just really good at hiding how she feels. He remembers how she once came to him asking for manga recommendations, completely surprising him since everyone around thought she'd only be into highbrow literature. His classmates had shut that idea down hard, acting like it was ridiculous for her to be into manga. Takahashi starts to get what it must feel like when both classmates and family constantly expect you to live up to a certain image. They probably don't mean harm, but the pressure must be exhausting. He shakes the thought off, telling himself to stop overthinking and focus, for her sake and his. After studying hard, he lies down for a bit, then gets right back up, fired up to score over 80. On the day of the test, the teacher tells the class to begin. As Takahashi flips over the paper, he's stunned. He actually knows the answers. The studying worked. Once the exam ends, he breathes a big sigh of relief. It's finally over. Right after, he gets a message from Kurokawa asking how it went, and he proudly tells her he probably hit the 80-point mark. She seems skeptical, thinking it might be too early to say. When the results come out, he realizes she was right. He didn't quite make it. Her words echo in his head about how falling below 80 means remedial classes and not being able to hang out anymore. He remembers everything she did to support him, barely sleeping, cheering him on, making notes, and feels crushed that he let her down. He dramatically thinks his failure is unforgivable and stares at the paper in disbelief. Then the teacher casually drops a bomb. There was a question on the test that hadn't been covered in class yet, so for the one student who got it wrong and ended up with a 77, they'll make an exception this time. Takahashi is completely stunned, realizing that he's that one student. He got that question wrong. He screams internally, realizing he barely dodged remedial classes by pure luck. Takahashi proudly shows his results to Kurokawa, super hyped that he managed to stay above the danger line in every subject. He's basically sparkling with gratitude, telling her it's all thanks to her awesome notes. Meanwhile, she smiles but silently notes how he just barely scraped past 80 in everything, like skating on academic thin ice. She already starts planning to make even better notes next time if the threshold drops to 60. He stares at him for a second, wondering why her face suddenly looks so serious, like she's about to confess something deep. He diverts his attention and asks if she read Chapter 5 of Love Maeve, and she's instantly off like a racehorse, passionately yapping about it. He watches her, smiling to himself, thinking she's way more expressive than she lets on. She's a total manga fangirl hiding under an honor student mask. Internally, Kurokawa remembers how she had to hold herself back during exam season from flooding Takahashi with her thoughts about the manga. The self-control? Legendary. Later, they're hanging out in the dusty old document room, deep in discussion about their favorite series like two secret agents exchanging classified intel. At some point, Kurokawa gets up, looking awkward, and asks if she can run to the restroom real quick. Takahashi just nods, internally chuckling like, ah, yes, the mighty call of nature. While she's walking down the hall, someone suddenly calls her name. It's another girl who nervously asks for a moment of her time. Kurokawa politely listens as the girl stammers through an awkward conversation that seems to go absolutely nowhere. When she finally gets back, she finds Takahashi passed out cold, asleep with her notes still in his hands. They're all crinkled from his sweaty palms, like they've been through war. She leans in, noticing some ink fading, but instead of being upset, she's touched. He really did use them, like for real. Not the put it in your bag and forget kind of use. He studied his heart out. She quietly sits next to him, thinking about how this whole study period changed her. For the first time in her life, she actually looked forward to after school. He always thanked her, but she thinks she's the one who should be grateful. She whispers his name and starts to admit something sweet and heartfelt, something maybe even romantic, and then, bam, Takahashi shoots up like he's been hit by lightning, screaming out of nowhere and startling the life out of her. He's panicking, all disheveled, asking if he said anything weird in his sleep. Kurokawa, still flustered, insists he didn't mutter a single thing. He double-checks like, wait, really? And she awkwardly confirms that he definitely didn't say anything strange. Smooth save, 10 by 10. Takahashi's gears start turning. Wait, if he didn't say anything? Did Kurokawa say something? She instantly changes the subject faster than a ninja dodging taxes, telling him to get back to what he was saying before her bathroom break. He excitedly picks back up, talking about the 10th anniversary festival for Love Maeve. It's like Comic-Con, but for people obsessed with one series. They're giving out a sticker per item bought, and he's totally planning to be there first thing Sunday morning. He's already halfway to budgeting his snack money for keychains and overpriced merch. Then comes the plot twist. Kurokawa nervously asks if she could, maybe, possibly, tag along with him. Takahashi freezes. His brain glitches. His soul momentarily leaves his body. Is this a date? Takahashi thinks to himself that there's really no reason to turn down Kurokawa's request to hang out. He's kind of excited but also a little self-conscious as he stands in front of the mochi tree, waiting for her. He starts wondering if he looks weird, especially since he's not the most fashion-forward guy. He's not exactly going for a runway model look today, but he's wondering what kind of outfit Kurokawa is going to wear. He starts imagining her in a sleek, all-black outfit, like a manga heroine, but he quickly dismisses that idea, figuring she's probably not going for the Eoitan vibe. He then pulls out his phone and starts Googling girls' fashion because, why not? He's curious and figures it won't hurt to see what's trending. He stumbles upon something wild, a no-pants trend that's apparently all the rage with overseas celebrities. Takahashi's brain short-circuits a bit at the thought, but then, like a true overthinker, wonders if there's even a slight chance Kurokawa might show up dressed like that. It's a very slim chance, but it's definitely in the realm of possibility for his overactive imagination. Just as he's getting lost in thought, he hears Kurokawa's voice calling out to him. He turns around and is immediately stunned by how cute she looks. She's wearing a hat that totally reminds him of Aoi from their favorite manga, and it's making her look even cuter than usual. Takahashi can't help himself and blurts out that he's relieved she's wearing pants, which makes Kurokawa look a little startled. He quickly tries to explain himself, stammering that he was just reading a weird article and had a momentary brain freeze. Even though she probably didn't mean to, Kurokawa's outfit today is hitting him with serious Eoitan vibes, and he can't stop thinking how cute she looks. Trying to brush it off, he apologizes for staring and tries to play it cool, but then Kurokawa asks him to stop calling her name too much today because she doesn't want anyone to notice her. Takahashi, in his usual clueless way, laughs it off, saying it would be trouble if people knew they were hanging out together. Kurokawa quickly snaps, "No, that's not it." She then goes on to explain that it's not about him at all. It's more about how she used to sneak out in elementary school to buy manga, and her dad found out, which led to a whole mess. She explains how even now, with her family's connections, it's hard to get away with things like that. She's worried that if people find out she's at the fair today, the same thing will happen. Takahashi thinks it's crazy how much Kurokawa cares about Love Maeve and how strong her feelings are about it. He quickly reassures her, saying he'll make sure to keep it a secret so that her dad or anyone else doesn't find out. She feels a little bad for putting him through all this trouble, but he just smiles and tells her that it's like they're on a secret celebrity date. It's exciting and fun. Kurokawa, clearly still processing this whole secret date thing, nervously asks if that means this is actually a date. Takahashi panics and says, No, it's not a date. She instantly agrees with him, but he starts to overthink and wonders if he just accidentally implied he would ask her out on a real date one day. He awkwardly laughs and tries to make it sound less weird, explaining that if he really wanted to ask her out on a real date, he would have done it properly, without all this secretive nonsense. Kurokawa, looking a little shy, nods in understanding, and Takahashi breathes a sigh of relief. He internally panics again, realizing how it might have sounded like he was already planning a date with her. But when he sees Kurokawa blushing, he realizes that she's not put off by it at all. Kurokawa, noticing his shock, asks him what's wrong, and Takahashi, feeling completely relieved, answers that everything is fine. But Kurokawa, clearly puzzled, asks him, relieved about what? Takahashi checks the time and casually suggests they should get going. Internally, though, he's still spiraling. He keeps telling himself it's definitely not a date. No way, and yet he's so nervous he can't even look directly at Kurokawa. He points out a nearby set of stairs and tells her the anime shop is just a short walk from there. He starts to call out to her, but then quickly remembers no names. Just as he turns around, he realizes she's gone. A few seconds later, she runs up to him, apologizing, saying she got separated in the crowd. Takahashi, mid-swoon, is just admiring how gracefully she runs. He quickly takes the blame for walking too fast, while she explains that she got swept away by the crowd. They head toward the stairs again, but it happens again. Kurokawa gets pulled away by the flow of people. Takahashi panics and yells her name, forgetting everything for a moment. The crowd magically parts, letting her through. She apologizes once more, saying she's never dealt with crowds like this before. Takahashi figures she's used to people always stepping aside for her. Still, she made it on time this morning, which impressed him. Then she casually drops a bomb. She woke up at 5 a.m. to prepare for their 9:30 meetup. Takahashi is absolutely stunned but touched. Seeing her this dedicated, he suggests they stick close together. She shyly repeats his words, flustered. He gets an idea and offers her his bag strap to hold on to. She follows along, holding the strap behind him as they walk. After a moment, she jokes that it kind of feels like walking a dog. Takahashi freaks out a bit, so she noticed too. They both quickly agree it's not a great idea, and he tells her to just grab onto his clothes if anything happens instead. So much for that brilliant plan. Then he asks what he should call her, since they're avoiding her full name in public. She offers up Yayoi, a not-so-common name that should be safe to use. He tries it out, and it immediately makes her blush. She then adds that back in elementary school, people called her Yoi-san, and that's totally fine too. Takahashi rolls with it and starts using it right away. They finally arrive at the anime shop, and she is instantly mesmerized. Her eyes are sparkling as she walks past all the manga-related merch, clearly amazed by everything. Takahashi watches her with a smile, totally understanding the joy of discovering something new and exciting. He suddenly points out a big display in the store. It's a whole corner dedicated to Love Mav. There's a special feature section, and every single volume is laid out flat for everyone to see. Kurokawa seems surprised by the flat display, so he explains that manga is usually on shelves, but when it's laid flat like this, especially for a complete series, it's kind of a miracle. It's rare and feels like a big deal. Not to mention, they even have the super rare alternate cover versions too. Just as he's riding this high, he notices that Kurokawa's expression has changed. Her excitement is gone. She looks really serious, and Takahashi starts wondering, what happened to that smile just now? The scene transitions to Takahashi desperately asking his sister for advice, needing a girl's opinion on what to wear for an upcoming date. He holds up a strange-looking shirt, genuinely hoping for some guidance. Mao, however, is immediately horrified, cringing at the sight of it. The outfit looks so bad she jokes like he must have stolen it off someone. The next day, Mao vents to her friends about the whole thing. Apparently, she had no choice but to help her brother pick out clothes for Sunday, and honestly, it was a nightmare. Every single outfit he considered was weirder than the last. One of her friends is surprised, reminding her that her brother goes to Shubi High, which is known for being super prestigious. Mao rolls her eyes and dismisses it. Just because he's smart doesn't mean he's cool. She says he's just a gross otaku who does nothing but study. Then, out of nowhere, a guy chimes in, picking up on the conversation. He mocks Takahashi, suggesting that being too good at studying is kind of creepy. Mao doesn't take that well. She turns to him, ready to ask who he even is. The guy laughs it off, like she should already know him. Before things escalate, one of Mao's friends jumps in and jokingly warns the guy not to tease Mao too much. She's secretly a total brocon. Mao, now clearly fired up, challenges them all to meet her at the station at 8:30 a.m. on Sunday. She's made up her mind. Fast forward to Sunday, May 16th. Mao, her friends, and that guy are all gathered near the station, following Takahashi around from a distance. One of her friends questions whether it's really okay to be spying on her own brother like this. Mao quickly shuts it down. This isn't a date. She's convinced someone is tricking him, and she's not letting any sketchy girl mess with him. Another friend comments on how little trust she seems to have in Takahashi. Mao just tells them to keep watching him while she heads off to the restroom. On her way there, she bumps into a random guy who suddenly gets aggressive. He accuses her of breaking something in his bag and demands to know what she's going to do about it. Mao was too stunned to reply, just staring silently. That only makes him angrier, until Kurokawa suddenly steps in. She calmly dials the police, pointing out that the security cameras by the restroom will show exactly what happened. Instantly, the guy backs down, nervously saying it's not worth involving the police. He tells Mao to just be more careful next time and quickly walks off. Mao is still wondering what that guy's problem even was. Kurokawa reassures her with a small smile. She'd been watching him since he was lingering around the restroom looking suspicious. Mao thanks her, realizing that if she'd been alone, she probably would have just broken down and done nothing. Kurokawa's presence really helped. Mao then finds out that Kurokawa had gotten up at 5 a.m. for her own plans. Shocked, Mao asks what time her meetup is, and Kurokawa casually says 9:30. That's when it clicks. This must be a date. When Mao teases her about it, Kurokawa's face goes red. She's not even sure if it is a date, since it's her first time doing something like this. She just didn't want to be late or waste anyone's time. Mao quietly thinks that Kurokawa seems like she's in that not-quite-dating phase. She wishes her luck like an older sister would, and Kurokawa thanks her with a shy smile. Back with her friends, Mao apologizes for being gone and immediately asks if her brother's date has shown up yet. When one of them points to a girl, Mao looks and instantly seems surprised. Without hesitation, she tells her friends they can leave now. One of them asks if she's sure it's okay, and Mao nods confidently. If that girl is the one Takahashi's meeting, then he's going to be just fine. The scene shifts to Kumazawa bookstore, where a young Kurokawa is quietly holding onto a manga, completely absorbed. She knows this is the one book she absolutely needs to have. Takahashi, standing nearby, is surprised to realize that the manga her dad once threw out was Love Math. Kurokawa admits to herself that, back then, she used to judge manga purely by their covers. She had no idea what she was tossing aside. Thinking about it now, she realizes how difficult it is for people who choose books by their covers, especially when so many share similar artwork. It's no wonder some forget the title entirely. After a brief pause, Kurokawa politely excuses herself and steps outside the store. As she stands there, her mind goes back to the memory of her father throwing that manga in the trash. The guilt weighs on her. How can she enjoy something she once treated like garbage? She figures it's just not right. With heavy emotions building, she opens the app on her phone, hovering over the option to uninstall Love Math, her eyes already welling with tears. Just then, Takahashi appears out of nowhere with a loud voice, startling her enough that she accidentally cancels the uninstall. He apologizes for making her wait and explains that he was quick, because he already had a shopping list and just went straight to the register. Excitedly, he shows her some Love Math stickers he picked up, and even got extras just for her. He offers her a funny pro tip too: hide them inside an English vocabulary book so her parents won't find them. These days, most people use smartphones anyway, so no one would think to check. Kurokawa is a little stunned by how casual he's being, but Takahashi keeps talking, now showing her more items from his haul. Knowing how hard it might be to get them again, he even bought an extra copy of the book, just for her. She quietly tells him she can't accept it. Deep down, she's convinced it'll just end up being thrown away again. The guilt of how she treated Love Math before makes it hard for her to even think about reading it now. Takahashi listens and gently tells her that giving up something she enjoys out of guilt is such a waste. In the past few days, he's seen how much she truly loves Love Math. He knows people might still judge her for liking manga, but the manga itself isn't judging her. If it brings her joy, even secretly, then she should keep reading. Kurokawa hesitates, wondering aloud if hiding it is really okay. Takahashi tells her that's exactly why, for now, he'll keep the book for her. It's his way of making a wish, that someday she'll be able to read manga openly, without worrying what others think. And when that day finally comes, he hopes she'll still love Love Math just as much, and that they'll still be close enough for him to give it back to her. Then it hits him. He forgot to call her Yoi-san like he meant to. He looks up and sees her eyes full of tears. Panicked, he apologizes for calling her by her name. But Kurokawa simply wipes her tears away, saying she's just really happy. Meeting him, she says, is something she's truly grateful for. She asks him to take care of the book until that day comes. Takahashi nods, but then she pulls out her wallet, asking how much she owes him. He tells her it's no big deal, insisting he doesn't need payment. She insists anyway, smiling, wanting to settle things properly. Takahashi panics. He worked hard to seem cool, and if she pays him back, he feels like it'll ruin the whole moment. The two of them go back and forth over it, neither willing to budge. As they argue, Takahashi thinks to himself, right then and there, he still hasn't noticed the small but important change starting to happen inside Kurokawa. The scene shifts to a quiet little cafe where Takahashi and Kurokawa are now sitting together, sipping drinks in a semi-private room. Takahashi had picked the spot thinking it would be the perfect place for them to relax and cool down a bit. She is surprised by how on point his choice is, wondering how he knew she was feeling overheated. Takahashi doesn't say it aloud, but as they were walking earlier, he couldn't help noticing how flushed and warm she looked. Kind of like a boiled octopus, actually. Secretly, he had hoped she might wear something lighter for the weather. Now, watching her take off her coat, he's caught off guard by how flustered he feels, like he's seeing something he maybe shouldn't. Kurokawa, a little shy, asks him if her outfit looks weird. She explains that this time, unlike usual when her maid chooses her clothes, she picked it out on her own. She's nervous about how it looks, worried she made a bad choice. Takahashi, blushing, is quick to reassure her. Not only is it not weird, but he actually thinks it looks great, though he fumbles over his words a bit in the process. Hearing that makes Kurokawa visibly relieved. Then he brings up something he's been thinking about, the nickname Yoi-san. He wonders if it's risky to use it in public. What if someone from her past recognizes it and tells her parents? Kurokawa gives him a soft smile. She says it's fine, that she doesn't think she'll run into anyone from over there ever again. Takahashi is confused by her wording. Over there? He has no idea what that's supposed to mean, so he awkwardly offers his condolences, thinking maybe something tragic happened. But Kurokawa quickly corrects him, laughing gently. No, nobody died. She just meant overseas. She opens up a little more, telling him about how things were when she was younger. Back in first grade, she completely messed up her school life. Her parents had her enrolled in an elite private academy, and she was incredibly naive about how the world worked. Just because they all went to the same school didn't mean everyone shared the same values or ways of thinking. Her parents were pretty generous, giving her freedom to spend money as long as it wasn't wasted on silly things. So, in an attempt to fit in, she used her money to please her classmates, hoping it would help her make friends. But one day, she overheard her classmates complaining. They mocked her for not being able to rent out an amusement park and called her family stingy. That moment hit her hard. She realized she had completely failed at building genuine relationships. Takahashi listens quietly, then adds his own little anecdote, something about how, when he was in first grade, he made rice bowls out of pill bugs and got scolded for it. Kurokawa smiles at the contrast between their childhoods. She tells him that everything back then spiraled into a much bigger issue. Eventually, she transferred to a school in England, where no one knew her. It was there that she was first called by the nickname Yoi. Since no one in Japan knew about it, she figured it would be okay to use it again. Takahashi nods, realizing how different their upbringings were. Kurokawa agrees and quickly changes the subject, laughing at the memory of pillbug rice bowls. Then, with a warm smile, she tells him something that catches him completely off guard. This is the first time someone outside her family has ever bought her something. She is truly happy. Takahashi is stunned. He can't believe Love Mab is the first gift she's ever received from a friend. And even more surprising, it made her cry. That's how much it meant to her. Suddenly, she stands and excuses herself, saying she's going to the restroom for a moment. Takahashi gives her a small nod, watching her go. As he sits there alone, her words echo in his head, that she cried from happiness. He wonders if maybe he upset her somehow, and the thought makes his chest feel heavy. He knows there's only so much he can do, and some things are way beyond his reach. But still, no matter how tough it might be, one thing is certain in his heart. He just wants to see Kurokawa smile. In the restroom, Kurokawa catches a glimpse of herself in the mirror and realizes her eyes are a bit puffy from crying. She feels a wave of embarrassment wash over her, wondering if Takahashi noticed and saw her looking less than her best. It's a bit of a relief that this wasn't technically a date. Trying to compose herself, she decides to cool her eyes down a little. Her thoughts drift back to when Takahashi ordered orange juice for both of them. He seemed so grown up at that moment. She had told him that too, but he immediately brushed it off, insisting he wasn't mature, just used to eating alone. Apparently, he usually just grabs ramen and has never been to a cafe like the one they're at now. It was his first time trying pancakes at a stylish spot like this, and as a guy, he always felt awkward going to such places solo. Kurokawa admits it's also her first time having pancakes like that at a cafe, which surprises him in a good way. He's genuinely glad they chose that place together. She gives him a small, shy nod in response, cheeks slightly flushed, and the gesture catches him off guard. He then nervously asks if she has some time after this and wonders if she'd like to take a walk around. The invitation completely shocks her. Inside, she's overwhelmed. Spending a day off with someone like him is way more fun than she ever imagined. It feels like something out of a romance story. But no, it's different. It's because it's him. Because it's Takahashi. After the walk, he suggests they should probably head home. It's getting colder. She agrees. At the station, he pulls out his Suica card and tells her he'll just pass through the gate that way, then asks how she's getting home. She explains she's using a ticket and heads to the machine to buy one. As she fumbles a bit with the process, he watches and realizes this might be her first time using the ticket gate. Once she's ready, she comes to stand beside him. Noticing how nervous she looks, he offers to go with her to the nearest station since he's worried she might get lost again in the crowd. She playfully protests, but then accepts his offer, asking him to look after her if it's not too much trouble. A train announcement interrupts them. It's arriving soon. As they walk toward the platform, he complains lightly about how crowded it is, even on the weekend. She mentions there's a popular amusement park along the line, which explains the heavy foot traffic. They hear another announcement about their belongings and the next stop. Suddenly, Kurokawa gently grabs his hand, surprising him. His face turns red, but he quickly recovers and guides her, saying this way they won't get separated. She quietly nods, still holding his hand. The train arrives at the next stop and the doors open. They step out, hearts racing and cheeks warm. As they exit, he notices the crowd thinning now that they've passed the amusement park. She laughs a little, saying it was kind of funny how packed it was earlier. He lets go of her hand and asks which exit they need. She says it's exit 1, and they head that way. He finds himself thinking that maybe it's selfish, but he doesn't want this day to end yet. Then he tells her he's never spent a day off with anyone other than family before, and today meant a lot to him. It was really fun, and he's grateful. She shyly agrees, saying she feels the same. But just then, she spots someone standing nearby. Her eyes widen in surprise, and Takahashi calls out to her, concerned. Takahashi notices something's off and asks Kurokawa what's wrong. She glances toward a man standing nearby and explains that he's her butler, the one who always takes care of her, and that he must have come to pick her up, even though she never told him where she was. This catches Takahashi completely off guard. As if trying to justify herself, Kurokawa starts explaining how she woke up at 5 a.m. that morning, picked out her own outfit for once, and even used the ticket gate all by herself. It was all a first for her, and she was worried about whether she looked okay. Takahashi, now slightly panicking, wonders if this is the part where he gets caught for running off with her and ends up getting scolded. He cautiously asks if the butler looks mad, just to confirm. Kurokawa takes a good look and says he's definitely furious. Takahashi's heart sinks as he realizes he might have just made an enemy of the Kurokawa family. He tries to reassure her, and maybe himself, that he'll figure something out and that it's going to be fine. Then the butler, in an unreadable tone, makes a comment that Takahashi looks like a newborn fawn. Takahashi is completely thrown off by this, thinking the guy's comparing him to something pitiful, like a moth to a flame, and he can't make sense of it. Kurokawa quickly tries to calm him down, saying it's probably just the butler being observant and not necessarily insulting him. She turns back to the butler and asks if he had been waiting there the whole time, but he denies it. Apparently, when she declared at 5 a.m. that she was going for a walk, he secretly followed her from a distance to keep an eye on her, getting ahead of her to be ready. Takahashi immediately jumps in to take the blame, insisting it's not Kurokawa's fault and that he was the one who dragged her around all day. The butler turns to Kurokawa and asks her directly if she was forced to go along with him. This completely stuns Takahashi, but Kurokawa sets the record straight with confidence. Not only was she not forced, she's more than glad she went along. She chose to be there, all on her own. Hearing that, the butler finally relaxes and says he has no objections. As someone tasked with looking after her, he doesn't feel it's necessary to report every little outing, especially if it's just a walk. Kurokawa lets out a relieved sigh and mentions that his body language earlier had seemed a little scary. Janae-san, now looking slightly embarrassed, admits that it wasn't intentional. He had just been massaging his stomach because he was feeling a bit hungry. Takahashi nods in understanding, then hands her the photos from Love Maeve as a parting gift. Kurokawa thanks him with a warm smile, and as she leaves, he shyly says he's going to save up more money, do more research, and next time, wear something even better. She lights up at the mention of a next time and beams, promising that she'll wear something so stylish it'll blow him away. Even the butler seems momentarily stunned by her sudden burst of excitement. Once they're in the car, Kurokawa apologizes to the butler for making him worry. He brushes it off, reminding her that while she is his lady, she's also a young woman, and the world is full of unpredictable dangers. Still, before the conversation ends, he gently asks if she had fun today. She responds with a shy but genuine smile, saying she really did. Then, with a playful grin, she asks him if he knows what pilbug rice bowls are. The butler, caught off guard, asks if it's some foreign ethnic dish. Kurokawa just laughs, admitting she doesn't know either.